Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Growth So You Can Chill. I'm your host, Gabe Colombo, and I'm here to share with you some stories and tips about marketing, advertising, and of course, growth. For today's episode, this episode that I prepared to you, we're going to talk about the importance of selling to the right persona. Because it's the right persona. So first of all, let's recap on some important concepts. The first one is what a persona is. A persona is the representation of your target audience. And in my opinion, it's the easiest way for you to show, to present your target across your entire company. Because it is extremely important for each individual in your company to know your personas and your value propositions. Um, and actually, the value proposition is the way you have to solve a problem in the persona's life. Um, Building the persona is probably the most extensive hard work that you have in marketing when a company starts, because we know that's a work across disciplines and led by marketing. This is why it's so important for you to know what it is and how important it is on building it. I like to think that a persona, it's like, actually, I think that a relationship, a romantic relationships, are just like relationships with customers, because they are based on things that there are some similarities, okay? So, for example, we need to have trust, you need to have similar views on important things, and of course, some charm. As in every romantic relationship, it's really important that both sides understand how the other side is, likes and dislikes, their interests and maybe traumas. And with that information, you can build a good foundation and a really healthy relationship with love and do proper maintenance of it. So I'm going to leave you with three tips about the persona. The first one is one product and service can have more than one persona. Maybe it changes depending on, I don't know, some aspect, some variable, a region, for example. Um, you will analyze different regions and then you will see that one thing leads to something that's so different in interest that if you compare a SWOT analysis in one region to another one, you will see that your value proposition is so different that a new persona is applicable, okay? We always need to have this persona and value proposition really clear and together in our minds as marketeers. The second tip is it changes because everything changes. I usually revisit the persona at least once a year. But if it is a SaaS, I would do it twice, because business all around the globe are changing in hyper speed and we need to keep up. If it's a business selling to another business, we can use, this is the third tip, we can use any of the methods that we know to build personas, including the online platform. They are pretty good. But the questions on those questionnaires, they are important because they lead you to actually question yourself and your process. So those simple questions, they need to bring you to a deep dive research and discussion within your teams, okay? And remembering that to find the best fit, you need to find the right persona in the right moment, in the right channel. With that, you can actually optimize your conversion and make your entire acquisition process optimized. If not, it's gonna take you longer to, for example, build advocates for your brand. And with that, the cost of acquisition is gonna keep being higher. Um, so one thing that I really like to think about is that building the right persona, building the persona it needs to be a work that you run together with different teams. And as I mentioned a few videos before, I'm going to leave the link below. You need to build it with your team. So your team not only brings you insights on what they know about your company that you might not, because you're looking in different ways or doing different things, but you can actually build something together. And when it goes across teams, it's very unlikely that when you're going to test it to prove it if it's right or not, you're going to find some surprise on this discovery. So work with your team and you will get amazing results on personas. Okay, I'm adjusting the camera here because it's I don't want you to be moving or out of focus. When you are a SaaS company, for example, you will probably see if you sell to the wrong persona right after the subscription. If you have an onboarding process, that wrong persona is either gonna drop off and start complaining because someone oversold features of your product to this person, or it's an underselling, it's missing things that they were looking for. So that's why it's super important. And some marketing teams are actually strengthening connections with the CX teams, because it's really important to understand what happens when someone buys. What happens when a purchase happens, for example, in an e-commerce. But we are talking about SaaS. So if the persona misses something in your software, for example, or this person thinks that it's too complex, it's probably not going to be a good fit for you. I remember that a few years ago, I led a team in an HR tech, and we started measuring things right after the sale. So we could understand how far the offer would resonate in the consumer's mind. And then we actually found out that I remember it was like 30% of the sales that we made in a month would drop off in the second month of usage. And then we decided to deep dive in that information, and we found out that we were actually selling to the wrong persona, because the persona of usage was different than the persona of purchase. And then what happened is that they could not see the value that we actually added on the offer in the offer, and then they would drop, and with that we would need to have more traction and add more money, put more money to get new clients. And that's not good for a company, because I remember that in that same project, we were telling the sales team and the performance team that they were doing a good job, because we were lacking information on another of the ends. So when we found that information and we released it to the entire company, we saw that we were missing pieces within the acquisition process. And it happened during the onboarding. And I really remember how frustrated I got, because I was leading the acquisition team, and some things that we fail, we learn from those things. When we got together, the leaders of those teams, and we rebuilt the buyer and the usage persona, we actually had an increase not only on lead acquisition, on sales, but we also had a more engaged new clients performance. But we also had an increase on upsell, because of course our team knew was more engaged to our value proposition, because again, it needs to be across teams. So the marketing team leading value proposition to the sales team and validating it with the CX team, and those three would actually prove and validate if the value proposition and the persona was right. And when we made that happen, that helped the company to grow faster and much more sustainably. And even more than that, I could see my entire team living for the same value proposition and actually translating again our value proposition and the things that we want to offer to our leads and clients, things that we really believed in because we built it together. And I think that's a lot of information, and I'm going super fast. If you have any questions about these concepts and this information, please leave it in the comments below, okay? So that was a great, that was a failure that became a success. But now we're going to talk about e-commerces. So if you are selling to the wrong persona as an e-commerce, you're probably going to start, you're trying to sell to the wrong persona, you're probably going to see a rise in the numbers on your your cart drop. Because of course, you're not adding the value that you're trying to offer to the clients. And even worse, if they buy, it's very unlikely that they are going to buy again because they are not understanding the value that you're actually offering, and that's going to make you to work even more to get new clients. And what happens when you put too much effort in new clients only? Cost of acquisition goes up, high and high, and it's not sustainable. You need to have a CAC, cost of acquisition, that is something sustainable for your business, because if not, you're gonna break. But it's so important that when you find like the right persona or persona, sometimes it's more than one, you're actually able to lead your performance team into optimization, not only on your processes, but also on how you display yourself in the market, how you position yourself in the market. And with that, you can create advocates, and with advocates, you're gonna make your cost of acquisition to go lower and lower. If you have a business model that's different than SaaS or e-commerce, and you want to know a little bit more about what I have to say, or some experiences that I had in the past with value proposition and building a persona, also DM me. You can send me an email through colombo@gotractor.com, and we can talk about it, okay? No charge needed. I'm just here to help. And I think we're getting close to an end here. In any case, marketing, sales, customer experience needs to be in sync during the entire customer journey. This is final. Remember, we talked about how important it is to customize the customer journey in a few videos below. I'm also going to leave it in the display below. I think it's super important for all of us to understand how important a persona and the value proposition is, and how we can customize it to make the life of a lead easier. And then with that, get better results for your company in lead acquisition, in sales, in lowering your CAC. And now I think that's it. I'm Gabe Colombo, your host. This was another episode of Growth So You Can Chill. I'm going to be here on every Wednesday sharing stories and tips on marketing, advertising, and growth, of course. I hope you liked it. Come back next Wednesday when I'm going to talk about KPIs, how a good KPI can make your company go low or go high, and how a bad KPI can make your company to just get exhausted and stop getting the results that you're expecting. I'm Gabe Colombo. I hope you liked it. Bye-bye.